Good morning today, 30th July 2024. We are going to discuss editorials of The Hindu. First article here, it talks about India-China relations. What should be, future of India if you want to im- impose blockade on the Chinese personnel who are coming into India. This article we will discuss in detail. Second article, it is about census 2021. We will discuss this article also in detail. This article recently in Delhi, three students who were preparing for Union Public Service Commission, they were died. So this article will discuss in detail what happened, what has gone wrong, and what future action should be taken. This article, Israel and Hezbollah attack happened, and this article from international point of view we will discuss. We'll just have the knowledge about this one. These three, these article in this are not much important. It talks about artificial intelligence, large language models. These are not much important from our study point of view. So we'll not discuss this article. This article also, it is factual regional related news. So we will not discuss. So today's quote, what we are doing to the forest of the world is but a mirror reflection of what we are doing to ourselves and to one another. Today we can see climate change is happening. One part of climate change affecting entire world. Let us suppose say climate change, we are releasing a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. This carbon dioxide causes melting of ice glaciers. These ice glaciers rises ocean level. When ocean level increases, the countries such as India, those who are living in the coastal area, they are highly affected because water level recedes and then water level increases in this area, and then those who are habilitating in those area, they have to move, they have to find for another alternate livelihood. So if you are doing the forest or even climate change also, it is mirror reflection to what we do to other. First article we will discuss about India's blocking Chinese personnel into Indian territory. Indian authorities promised more visas to Chinese technicians in order to improve Indian business system. Secretary for Department of Promotion for Industry and Internal Trade, he accepted claims recently a significant skill gap is there between Chinese personnel, Chinese technicians, those who are coming to India, and Indian factory supervisors and workers. In Tamil Nadu, there is a Vellore shoe manufacturing based company. It told that Chinese professional, those Chinese technicians are highly productive. How they could able to produce 150 items with the same resources, but our Indian technicians we able to produce only 100 items. Engineering Export Promotion Council also joined a call for more visas to these Chinese technicians. From many industries, footwear, textiles, engineering and electronics, Indian businesses purchased machines from China, and they cannot able to use productively because without these Chinese technicians, leaders of Indian industry keep reminding our Indian officials machines are lying idle and export orders are not being fulfilled. Gautam Adani's solar manufacturing facility also awaiting visas for these Chinese workers, basically technicians and operators. Official acknowledgement that we have huge skill deficit is very important and very impressive. Rarely there is a clarity. Even low-tech labor-intensive production requires a deep well of expertise. Suppose in India, shoe base, this is very low skill set is required. However, our skill set when compared to China, it is very low. So we have accepted already, and there is a huge expertise is required. China expert in this area, and it has included this expertise for almost 40 years, and it has become world manufacturing hub. So their experts are very less expensive when compared to other part of the world, but government has put a restriction on them based on security concerns. Already we are facing Galwan issue. Galwan issue. Our security forces had fought with the Chinese authority, and then even Doklam issue is there. In Sikkim, the Doklam issue is also happening. So based on this security concern, government cannot hold back these Chinese professional. If we hold, there is a problem. Chinese can help Indian to secure foothold on the bottom rung of the global skill order. So India, we have discussed several times, 90% of the population lives in the informal sector of economy. If we include these Chinese technicians, they basically help skilling our lower rung of the society. Since this lower rung is rising, India can jump now. Government is already slow walking its promise on more visas to Chinese. It's this movement, this type of movement should trigger on this real culprit and woeful Indian education. So Indian education also need to be strengthened. World is not waiting for India. Without foreign technical assistance, vastly upgraded domestic education will remain cruel mirage. Basically, education will be very high, but we don't have the employment opportunity. Education and employment, skill development should happen all together. If you see the visa prospects, this is very highly discourageous. In 2019, Chinese national received 2 lakh visas, but when it came to recently, after the deadly clashes, Galwan Valley and Doklam issue and all, so Chinese troops in 2020, now it has been fallen to 2000. So it is a security-driven mindset cannot be taken. This year, even 2024, they are even granting just 1,000 visas to this Chinese electronic professional that even stuck in the pipeline, and intensive screening is happening. A lot of debates is happening where they have to go, how their movement will be there. Yes, from security point of view, very much is needed, but we need to understand from our technological point of view. India is aspiring to become a developed nation by 2047. Need of the hour is to include all these changes. Despite all these positive noises, Ministry of Commerce and Industry choose to remain anonymous, and they have given some certain comments. Ministry of Commerce and Industry told visa will be issued to Chinese technicians and businesses only after proper screening and assurance that their travel conditions will not be avoided. Here, the screening might kill our initiative with thousands of the cuts. Most of the people will, come down, and our technological empowerment, technological upgradation may not happen. The powerful national security argument can be easily disguised by Atmanirbhar Bharat in golden era of self-reliant Indian manufacturing. Though we are focusing more on Indian-based, Indian make, however, this can be easily lost through. The irony is, invoking self-reliance is lost in Indian officials, and India's economic growth largely depend upon the foreign expertise, and particularly that is from China. If you see China and India, there is almost $100 billion, $100 billion. There is a trade deficit. So, in order to curb all these things, there is need to dialogue between these technical professionals and Indian professionals. Why we need to include foreign knowledge, why integrating of foreign knowledge is very necessary. East Asian economies, their history teaches us foreign knowledge is very essential, and it is very important to improve the development combined with education of the domestic workers. Weak Indian education makes foreign expertise especially very urgent and very important. In 1980, Korean businesses bought foreign machines to dismantle and do reverse engineering them. By then, Korea had 3 decades of solid education foundation, and minimal human assistance was needed. They sourced all the foreign knowledge as embodied in the machines. China began its explosive growth in the 1980s with weaker education base than the Koreans had. However, the breadth and equality of the Chinese primary education that happened during communist era in 1981, it gave rapid development. Today, China is competing with United States of America in terms of the technology. So they have taken several measures. They have taken policy measures. They have taken international study tours, even sought foreign investors to bring global knowledge to China. India built more school buildings and enrolled more children in the school, but surveys Several surveys told learning outcomes are depressingly sad. The school have rarely educated children in India. Stanford University, one professor told world eminent scholar the tight relations between education quality and growth. So he tells about there is a huge difference between education quality and growth. When quality of the education is very high, growth will also happen. When we take to Indian students, only 15% of the Indian school students have basic reading and arithmetic skills required to international economy. 80%, 85% of those children in China, they have all those skills. China is not standing still. Since 2018, Chinese students bettered in Program for International Student Assessment conducted by Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. We also have participated. India participated in Program for International Student Development in 2009. However, we came out because of poor performance, stating that it doesn't suit our educational requirement. So now there is a red queen race. What is the red queen race? There is a hypothesis, a red queen race. We need to adapt the changes, whatever happening in the society. Otherwise, we will stay dormant. We need to adapt just for the sake of adapting also. China learned fundamental lessons from the Red Queen, imported through the book, looking the glass. It basically tells about, like you must run twice as fast as you can to stay in the same place. So you must run faster to the go ahead. Chinese universities are among the world's best in the computer science and even mathematics. Chinese scientists are making advances in various applied sciences relevant to industrial progress in industrial arena. A world leader in electric vehicles and even solar technology also. With photovoltaic cells, you might have heard, we are importing from China. China is ready to breach inner sanctum of artificial intelligence also. They are progressing huge in the artificial intelligence area also. China is a To tell all these things, China is at the frontier of global technology that has captured world Western leader attention also. That's why Western leaders putting blockade on China. They are imposing a lot of sanctions through trade barriers and many of the unfair competition. All these things. Such a protectionism, basically will not depose this education system. Indian and international allies seem unable to learn lessons from China's example. So we need to learn lessons from China. There are the economists Rohit Lamba and Raghuram Rajan mistakenly given hope generating Indian jobs for the vast global market for labor intensive products. So by including service sector, but however service sector is highly technological oriented view and only a few handful people will get job. However, India is a largely semi-skilled and unskilled workers. So there is a manufacturing based industries, labor intensive based industries are very much needed. India must grow jobs and technology. It is very highly disproportionate, and Indian leadership is not taking much action in reducing quality of the education in India. India's technological export came to standstill after COVID-19. Even our graduates from Indian Institute of Technology, they're struggling to find jobs to these days. Many are formerly at the bottom rungs of Bengalore's IT economy, so it is also not growing, and they are even finding opportunities in the gig economy. Gig economy will not offer much, benefits. IT jobs fallen off post, 2023, even after such a times. So one of Financial Times predictor told country cannot educate its children and provide vast millions with dignified job. To create a dignified job, we need to adopt certain models. So we are point is here we are missing China plus one window. Mexico is located in its strategic location. It has advantage and it attracted many people. Vietnam, very small country, it is fighting with China, and even it is well located and possessing exceptional human capital, and they have seized the opportunity for these Chinese based products. Foreign investors are going away from India, and Indian labor intensive exports are stuck at 1.3% of the global markets, below the Vietnamese share. So we have to make no mistakes. We have, if we are considering national security self-reliance mantra to block even these baby steps, it will, in future run, it will impact heavily to India with heavily dysfunctional school education and university education and highly overvalued rupee prices and prospects of labor intensive manufacture will die soon again. So India, the need of the hour is it needs to address deficient human capital rather than harboring these financial notions place in the world. So the global red twin race is intensifying. So we need to run. We must run. More windows will close as increasing the millions helplessly await for dignified jobs. India must try for in this aspect. The next article here it talks about census. Census we have conducted in 2011 and after that we haven't conducted. So this article it discusses about the census. Center did not extend a deadline for June 30th, 2024 to freeze administrative boundaries for the purpose of census. Hopes were raised decennial census operation, those which were taken once in 10 years, scheduled to begin in 2020, would at least commence in 2024. So this hopes again come down. It usually takes 3 months after boundaries are set to make massive preparation for the field work. This time in the budget 2024-25, Center had allocated 1,309 crores for the census, which is a highly reduction from 21-22, where they have allocated 3,768 crores. So it indicates that it may not be carried out in the recent and there may be delay. The next census continues to be held with government yet to announce the new schedule. Conducting census on a priority basis is very must, and absence of census after 2011, you know, with such country of huge population. So there are several schemes are being conducted by the government on the basis of the census. Those schemes effectiveness cannot be ensured and those benefits and services cannot be ensured in the long run. Implementation of the Women Reservation Act passed in the Parliament in the last year. They have reserved 33% of the seats in the Parliament and assemblies for women. So awaits conduct of the census also. It is highly imperative. Sufficient provisions are made in 25-26 census budget so that 2021 census that has been postponed to be held at the earliest for the completing in the first phase of 2025. So it will include national population registry also. For conducting census, there are many preliminary arrangements need to be taken, such as preparing updated maps, list of administrative areas, pre-testing a draft census questionnaire. So there will be several questionnaires are there that will be tested, training officers and the core staff who would train a large number of field staff in collecting census data digitally on mobile app and planning field work, logistics, budgeting, all these have to be taken place by the Census Directorate in states and union territories. It has been taken for past few years in anticipation putting through the census. The writer visited Census Directorate of Tamil Nadu, Chennai, and he had talked to officials there, and they revealed so ready to undertake the census once the new census date to be fixed by the central government. All that is required now is refresher training program for them. The amount that were allocated in the budget could be utilized by census department to carry out several preliminary activities such as we discussed, questionnaire finalization, refresher training to this core staff for digital census and tabulation plans. As per Indian Constitution, 84th constitutional amendment specifically made so as to make delimitation of the constituencies till 2026. So delimitation will not be carried out. So now guess is that census will be carried out in 2027 and after that delimitation will be carried out and then the boundaries will be frozen. Create comprehensive database residents in the country, national population registry with details of person, like residing in villages, towns, and rural urban areas. It was first prepared in 2011 prior to census 2011. It was again updated in 2015 incorporating changes due to birth, death, and migration. The process was put through Citizenship Amendment, Citizenship Act 1955. National Population Registry will be updated again during the house listing and housing census operation of the upcoming census. So if suppose say 2027 they carries out, 2026 they will conduct a National Population Registry. The draft form of National Population Registry, they include questions such as mother tongue, place of birth of father and mother, last place of residence. All these things will be included. The inclusion of all these new questions have been opposed by some of the states and citizen groups, since this NPR is first step towards a compilation of the National Registry of Citizens according to Citizenship Rules 2003. Center clarified that this NPR data will not be used in preparation of NRC. Center has to make decision whether to retain or contentious question that they have included in the NPR format. There is also one more thing: growing demand for caste-based census to be conducted by center to understand economic well-being of the marginalized community. In an affidavit filed in the Supreme Court on 23rd, 2021, central government stated caste census, except for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, it was unfeasible and it is administratively difficult task and a very cumbersome task cannot be carried out because it is very Herculean task. Center has to take call now whether to collect caste information in the next census. So that is about the census. The next article here we talk about human failure. Death of IAS aspirants in basement flooding. It was preventable, but it largely happened due to human failure. It was largely unfortunate incident. Three students who were preparing for IAS exam, so they basically died. So who was the responsible? So we'll discuss this article. IAS coaching center in Delhi. Flooding led three IAS aspirants died, and it was largely man-made, and it could have been avoided. So, though it was a disaster, it was highly disastrous incident. Urban flooding these days increasing. We might have seen Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, and even Kerala also. Several urban areas are heavily flooded. So urban administration could have prevented, and urban administration role comes a major in this areas. Basement building have limited access. They often used for ventilation. Getting in and out of the basement is very highly challenges, and if you are trapped inside, there is a real possibility that water will find its way to basements because it is lowest area. Water will find its way into the basement. Special pumping arrangements would be required to mitigate the flooding. So rules do not permit basement in buildings across the country to have habitation. You cannot have living in the basements. While it can be used for storage, parking, and utilities such as electrical equipment and generators. Wherever you see apartment also, basements are largely allocated for storage facilities. Habituation include like those offices and residents. Shops are sanctioned in the malls, mixed use of buildings because they have seen as a temporary habituation. A classroom or study center may be considered as a habituation because as per interpretation rules, so these classes and long study hours should not be allowed in the basements. Delhi's building bylaws consider basement as a storage area but recognize mixed use buildings may use basements or for any other purpose. Indian as India is growing and urbanization is happening, land use and building value become increasingly expensive. If you go to areas in Delhi, land is very limitedly available, and the cost of building and land is very highly cost effective. So in such mixed use buildings, basement are also seen to become income generators. Delhi Master Plan 2021, it says use of basement for coaching center shall be subject to clearance from fire authorities and other statutory bodies as per relevant laws. But it must be known whether like IAS coaching center, whether they had relevant permission, if any changes they have made, even whether they had identified to authorities and all. One question we need to ask, even if they would have taken permit, so these people, the authorities may demand bribes. Civil poor infrastructure had caused basement of water to be flooded. Big cities getting flooded, it had become common routine because of the climate change. Flooding due to natural topography, it challenges land use, and it is because of the haphazard construction. These days, wherever rivers and lake area, these are being encroached and land buildings are being constructed. These buildings should be demolished. So proper approval should be taken. As per government rule, approval should be taken. In 2015, Chennai flooding happened in the basement area where electrical equipment and businesses highly disrupted. It even caused deaths in hospitals because water damaged emergency power generators and life-saving ICU intensive care unit equipment stopped functioning. So this caused hospital authorities also. Building, what author says is building should be made flood resilient by ensuring no water enters inside once one up to 1.5-meter level across the road. The building should be constructed with concretes and non-porous compound walls. Even they should have the flood barrier gates. The pipes which are carrying water, they should have this non-return wall which allows water in one direction, and should be used all these things for improving the resilience of the building. So next article we will discuss about Israel and Hezbollah attack. The conflict is widening in the Israel region. So you see, this was the Jewish population control in 1917. So British was controlling this area prior to independence. So 1948, Britishers left, and then it became under came under Israel occupation. 1967, huge war happened. So war between Israel versus Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. All these fought against Israel, and Israel won the war. And then since then, Israel started occupying all these areas. So you can see the map. This area is called West Bank. This area is called Gaza Strip. It borders with Egypt, and now recently Trump also gave a map. So this is not much discussion. In 1995, Oslo Accords came as per USA, a peace between this Palestinian regime and Israel. So this was as per the map. If we want to discuss the history, what happens? Iran. Iran is a country that has its proxies. Proxies means it funds them. So in Lebanon, they have Hezbollah group. In Yemen, they have Houthi rebels. So basically, they conduct all their affairs through these things. So no, these proxy groups, they fund some proxy groups. They provide the ammunition, and they provide all the war supports. So Israel is ultimately supported, surrounded by all these Islamic countries, and war is always on the brink. Recently, what happened from Lebanon? Hezbollah group attacked Masdal Shams in Golan Heights. Golan Heights is the top of the Israel. So they attacked a football ground and it killed 12 young people. Israel and US blamed Hezbollah, Lebanon's powerful Shia militia. This is a proxy group backed by Iran. Hezbollah initially claimed the attack. Later, they told they don't have any role in this incident. But Israel has not bought Hezbollah's claims, and it is preparing for its response. It need to be seen what happens in future days. So before that, on October 7, 2023, Hamas, those who are residing in Gaza Strip, so they attacked Israel and they killed almost 1,200 people. In against that, Israel prepared a war. They got huge sympathy and they start attacking on the Gaza Strip. Today, approximately 34,000 people have been killed. All the buildings have been decimated, and people are waiting for United Nations relief thing. Hezbollah attack forced some of the 60,000 Israelis from the northern part to enter inside. Hezbollah claimed It was fighting Israel in solidarity with Palestinian. As we discussed, Palestinian reason was the car. So now earlier the war was between Gaza Strip and Israel. Now war escalated on the northern front also with Lebanon's Hezbollah. So it need to be seen how the war will happen in the future. So more news will come and we'll discuss much about this article. So thank you very much for the discussion.